It's Monday morning. You're running 5 minutes late. You jump into your 2010 Toyota, turn the key, it starts, because of course it does, and you do that quick mental math at the gas station you always do now. $80 again? Then you see an ad on your phone. 2026 hybrid, 50 mpg, save money on gas. And for about 10 seconds, it feels like the solution to your whole life. But then reality taps you on the shoulder. Because the question isn't, would a 2026 hybrid save gas? It will. The question is, will a 2026 hybrid save enough money to beat payments, depreciation, insurance, and the fact that your 2010 Toyota is already paid off? That's the brutal math. Let's break this down in a way that actually matches how normal people live. First, here's the most common situation I've seen. Your 2010 gas Toyota still runs. It still gets you to work, but it's starting to feel like it needs one thing every few months. Tires, brakes, a battery, then a check engine light, then an AC recharge, then a suspension noise you ignore until it becomes a real problem. And you're thinking, am I being smart by keeping this, or am I just waiting for the big bill? So we're going to compare two real costs. Cost A, keeping your 2010 gas Toyota for the next few years. Cost B, buying a 2026 hybrid and owning it like a normal person. And I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. In most cases, fuel savings do not pay for the new car. Fuel savings just makes the new car feel emotionally responsible. Now, let's use numbers that fit a huge chunk of the audience. Assume you drive 12,000 miles a year. That's a pretty standard commute and life number. Assume gas averages $3.75 per gallon over the next few years. Could be higher, could be lower, but this is a fair middle. Now you need two MPG numbers, your real MPG in the 2010 Toyota and your real MPG in the 2026 hybrid you're considering. Let's use a very typical example. 2010 gas Toyota gets 28 MPG combined. 2026 hybrid gets 45 mpg combined. Now, the fuel math. 2010 Toyota fuel per year. 12,000 miles divided by 28 mpg equals about 429 gallons. 429 gallons times $3.75 equals about $1,608 per year. 2026 hybrid fuel per year, 12,000 miles divided by 45 mpg equals about 267 gallons. 267 gallons times $3.75 equals about $1,001 per year. So you save about $607 per year in fuel. That's about $50 a month. And this is where most people make the first mistake. They hear save $50 a month and their brain goes, great, that's like a payment. No, that's not a payment. A payment is usually hundreds. So the next step is the part nobody wants to do, the new car costs you can't dodge. Let's talk about the 2026 hybrid cost in the real world. Even if you get a reasonable deal, a new hybrid is still going to have depreciation, financing interest or opportunity cost if you pay cash, and higher insurance in many cases. Depreciation is the killer because it's invisible. You don't write a check for it, but you absolutely pay it. Let's be conservative and say your 2026 hybrid costs $34,000 out the door. Could be less, could be more, depending on model, trim, taxes, and fees. But work with me. If over the first 5 years it loses, say, $10,000 to $16,000 of value, that's not crazy. That's normal new car life, even for brands with good resale. That's $2,000 to $3,200 per year in depreciation alone. Compare that to your fuel savings of $607 per year. Fuel savings doesn't beat depreciation. It doesn't even come close. So when someone says, I'm buying a hybrid to save money, the honest translation is usually, I'm buying a new car and the hybrid makes me feel better about it. Now, let's talk about financing. Let's keep it simple. If you finance a big chunk at normal interest rates, interest can easily add thousands over the term. Even if rates improve, you're still paying something. And insurance. A 2026 vehicle is typically more expensive to insure than a 2010 vehicle because it's worth more and costs more to repair. That difference depends heavily on your driving record and your zip code, but it's real enough that you should get quotes before you decide. So, here's the brutal reality check. If you save about $50 a month on fuel, but your all-in cost of owning the 2026 hybrid is $300 to $700 more than keeping the paid-off car, you didn't save money. You upgraded, which is fine, just call it what it is. Now, that doesn't mean keeping the 2010 always wins, because old car math can turn ugly fast if you're entering the expensive phase. So let's do the keep side honestly. Keeping the 2010 costs you fuel, maintenance, repairs, and the risk of one big event. We already calculated fuel at about $1,608 per year in this example. Now, maintenance and repairs. If your 2010 Toyota is genuinely well sorted, good tires, brakes, cooling system healthy, no major leaks, your annual spending might average something like $800 to $1,500 a year. Some years it's nothing, some years it's more, but averaged out, that range is common. If your 2010 Toyota is entering the everything is original phase, it can be more like $1,500 to $3,000 a year on average once you start catching up. Struts and shocks, control arm bushings, wheel bearings, radiator and hoses, water pump, AC leaks, motor mounts, small oil leaks that become bigger leaks, and here's the key detail. The expensive phase usually isn't one repair, it's the pattern.
You can justify fixing almost anything once. What breaks people is fixing something every month. So the decision point isn't, did it need brakes? Brakes are normal. The decision point is it starting to stack multiple $1,000 plus events close together? Because that's when the old car stops being cheap transportation and starts being a part-time job. Now let's put both lifestyles side by side with a realistic yearly cost view. Keeping the 2010 example, fuel $1,608 per year, maintenance/repairs average, let's say $1,200 per year. Total, about $2,800 per year. Buying the 2026 hybrid example, fuel $1,001 per year, maintenance early on, let's say $500 per year average, depreciation, let's say $2,600 per year, insurance difference, say $600 per year, interest or opportunity cost, say $800 per year. Total, about $5,500 per year. Now, even if you disagree with any one number, notice the shape of the math. The new hybrid usually costs a couple $1,000s more per year to own than keeping a functional, paid-off 2010 Toyota. So, when does buying the 2026 hybrid actually make sense? It makes sense when at least one of these is true. 1. Your 2010 Toyota is about to demand big money repeatedly, not one big fix, repeated big fixes. If you're staring at a list like $1,200 suspension work, $1,500 AC, $800 tires, $900 cooling system, and now it's burning oil or shifting weird, then the keep-it cost is no longer $1,200 a year, it's spiking. 2. You drive a lot more than average. If you drive 25,000 miles a year, fuel savings becomes real. Let's rerun the fuel savings quickly at 25,000 miles per year. 2010 at 28 mpg, 25,000 divided by 28 equals about 893 gallons. 893 times $3.75 equals about $3,349. Hybrid at 45 mpg, 25,000 divided by 45 equals about 556 gallons. 556 times $3.75 equals about $2,085. Savings, about $1,264 per year. Now you're saving over $1,000 a year. That's meaningful. But even then, it still might not pay for a new car by itself. It just makes the upgrade less financially painful, especially if you needed a different car anyway. 3. Safety and stress are worth money to you. A 2026 vehicle will likely be safer in a crash, have better headlights, better braking performance, better stability control tuning, and modern driver assist features that reduce fatigue in traffic. If you commute in heavy highway chaos every day, or you're carrying family, that can be a rational reason to upgrade, even if it costs more. But again, don't label it saving money on gas. Label it buying safety and comfort. Now, here's the simplest tool to decide this without guessing. Take your last 12 months with the 2010 Toyota. How much did you actually spend on maintenance and repairs? Not what you remember, what you can roughly prove. Now do this. Old car yearly cost equals annual miles divided by your real MPG times gas price, plus last year's maintenance and repairs averaged out, plus any big catch-up work you know is coming. New hybrid yearly cost equals annual miles divided by hybrid MPG times gas price, plus depreciation per year, plus interest or opportunity cost per year, plus insurance difference per year, plus maintenance per year. If the new hybrid is thousands more per year, and it usually is, the only reasons to buy it are you want it, you need the reliability reset, you want the safety, or your old car is entering the expensive repeating repair phase. And the final brutal truth, if your 2010 Toyota starts every morning and your biggest complaint is gas, you're probably not in a financial emergency, you're in a boredom emergency. Because payments feel like progress, but the cheapest car is usually the one that's already sitting in your driveway, assuming you keep it from overheating, keep the suspension from eating tires, and don't ignore little problems until they become expensive problems. If you tell me your actual MPG, your annual miles, and what you spent last year on repairs, I can plug your real numbers into this and give you the cleanest keep or buy answer possible.